YouTube. I'm here to talk to you about history. We're starting a new video series today called Full Circle History. And what it is we'll discuss things that have happened in history that are really cool, that repeat themselves or refer to themselves in some way, and things that you might not know about that might be really cool for you. First episode, we'll be talking about Levi's Stadium and why it's really cool that the 49ers now have a stadium called and sponsored by Levi's. First and foremost, we'll talk about why it's cool that San Francisco has a team called the 49ers. And it's the same reason why it's really cool that Pittsburgh has a team called the Steelers. Jump right into it. Pittsburgh has a team called the Steelers. Many people might not even know what a Steeler is, but it directly refers to people who work as a steel worker, which means that they work in the industry of creating things in metal for buildings, or things in metal for machines, and much of the infrastructure of our country depends on the metal industry. Likewise, the people, much of the population of Pittsburgh is highly dependent on the metal industry. It's a little different than the 49ers. San Francisco has more of a historical dependence on 49ers. The discovery of gold in the Sierra Nevadas, which is the mountains that border Nevada and California, caused the second major immigration to the West. The first one was Lewis and Clark discovering the Pacific Ocean on the other side of the nation. They traveled from closer to the East Coast side of the United States, and using Native American guidance found the Pacific Ocean in Oregon, and that caused a major immigration, including of which that you may have played the Oregon Trail when you were young. Those, the covered wagons across the United States. You may have heard of the Donner Party that happened during this major immigration. The next major immigration, due to the discovery of gold, is called the Gold Rush. And what happened after this major discovery is people from all over the United States and all over the world risked their lives to get to California mountains in Northern California to pan for gold. Including this are even major businessmen, including this are your average American, and including this are immigrants from Asia. And even just people from literally all over the world dropped what they were doing and risked it all to get to California to look for gold. Now, what happened after this is a lot of people began settling into California, and San Francisco started becoming a major port, and actually, because of this huge wave, became at some points the richest port in the world, because there was so much gold involved. And this, of course, was before the existence of the Golden Gate Bridge, so there were just boats all over the San Francisco Bay. And California was, at the time, under the jurisdiction of the Spanish government, meaning from Spain, not from Mexico. And they already had some cities that are now huge cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Jose that have been around for almost 100 years. San Jose is the oldest major city in California that came into existence, some say 1776, some say 1777. But San Francisco quickly became the biggest and most populated city in California. And of course, this led to people in the United States in government wanting California. And sure enough, 1850, California came to be a United States state. And in fact, the first one on the West Coast. And to wrap up this whole section of it is people who risked everything to travel to California to look for gold were called 49ers. Now on to part 2 and why it's really cool that Levi's is now sponsoring the 49ers, is Levi Strauss came to California, to San Francisco, to start Levi's. And when he started Levi's, jeans already existed. Some people think Levi Strauss invented jeans, but the material of jeans have been around since hundreds of years before. It existed in Italy. But when Levi's first started, it was just a materials company. They would sell jean-like materials for people to create things with. They didn't actually create jeans at first. But then a man by the name of Jacob Davis came to Levi Strauss in 1872, and he was a tailor in San Francisco. And being that San Francisco is now filled with people who spend much of their time trying to survive in the wilderness and panning for gold, that he said that there is a need for clothing that is more durable. Because at the time, people didn't wear jeans, really. People wore slacks, and that didn't really survive well in the wilderness. So he has this design for jeans, which includes buttons and pockets and things like that. Him and Levi Strauss patent it and create the type of jeans that everyone wears today. And now Levi's makes about $14 to $15 billion a year selling just jeans. And if it weren't for this man with an idea in San Francisco, because of the need for it from the 49ers, Levi's probably wouldn't exist today. And now, history coming full circle, we have a stadium that the 49ers use that is now owned, well, not owned, but sponsored by Levi's. So now, if you want to go to a 49ers game, you go to Levi's Stadium. I just think that's really cool. I can't think of an equivalent. What comes immediately to my mind via improv, it'd be like the Silicon Valley Nerds being a chess team and then soon being sponsored by Apple. Or there being a football team in Hawaii called the Hawaiian Surfers, which is a little racist on my part, but called the Hawaiian Surfers, and then it being sponsored by O'Neill. More improv for my mind. Pittsburgh Steelers. If you had Steelers and then whatever major metal company there is out there. But more to come from me. I'll keep these about 10 minutes in length. I am also going to have another video series coming out too soon about egalitarianism and what it's all about. If you want to check that out, keep an eye on my channel, or you could just subscribe. Swap me a sub and a like, and I'll catch you soon.